The rain hadn't stopped for hours. It fell against the cracked windows of the small apartment, like the world itself was crying along with the little girl sitting on the worn-out couch. Her name was Emily, 6 years old, with tangled brown hair and eyes too big for her tiny face. In her hands, she held a faded photograph of her parents, a picture from a time that felt like another lifetime. The man beside her in the photo was her father, Daniel, once a confident and hopeful man, now a tired, single dad fighting the quiet battles no one else could see. The woman beside him, her mother, Grace, had been gone for almost 3 years now. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the power of love that heals even the deepest wounds, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel, because this story might just remind you that even broken hearts can find light again. Every evening after work, Daniel would come home exhausted from his construction job. His hands were rough and calloused, his shoulders heavy with worry about rent, bills, and how to give Emily the childhood she deserved. Yet, no matter how tired he was, he'd always smile the moment he saw her running toward him. "Daddy," she'd squeal, wrapping her little arms around his neck. For that one instant, the weight of the world didn't matter. But that night, things were different. Emily sat quietly at the kitchen table, pushing her food around her plate. Daniel noticed immediately. "Not hungry, sweetheart?" he asked gently. She looked up at him, eyes glistening. "Daddy," she whispered, "I miss Mommy." Those words sliced through him like a blade. He had prepared himself for everything, for sleepless nights, for long hours, for loneliness. But nothing could prepare him for the day his daughter would look at him with tear-filled eyes and ask for the one thing he couldn't give back. Daniel knelt beside her, his throat tightening. "I miss her too," he said softly. He wanted to be strong, to be brave, but in that moment, he felt as helpless as the day Grace took her last breath. Emily's tiny fingers trembled as she held his hand. "Can you bring her back? Just for one night?" He didn't answer. Instead, he pulled her close, letting her cry into his shirt. He didn't realize then that this one innocent question would change everything. The next few days passed in silence. Emily stopped talking as much. She used to draw pictures of her and her dad holding hands under the sun. Now her drawings showed only her mom, a figure in a yellow dress with angel wings. Daniel found one of those drawings taped to her wall with the words, "I'll see you soon, Mommy," written in crayon. That scared him more than anything. At work, Daniel couldn't focus. The sounds of drills and hammers faded behind the noise of his thoughts. His coworker Mike noticed. "You okay, man?" Daniel forced a smile. "Yeah, just tired." But deep down, he wasn't okay. He hadn't been okay in years. He was haunted by guilt. The night of the accident, the words left unsaid, and the fact that he couldn't save the woman who made his life complete. One Friday evening, while walking Emily home from school, they passed a small bakery. Inside, a woman with kind eyes and a warm smile stood behind the counter. Emily's face lit up. "Daddy, look, cupcakes!" The woman waved at them through the window. Daniel smiled politely, but something about her, maybe her gentle eyes, maybe her calm presence, made him stop. Her name tag read Sarah. He bought Emily a cupcake, and Sarah handed it to the little girl with a soft grin. "You have your father's smile," she said kindly. Emily's laughter filled the tiny shop for the first time in weeks. It was such a simple moment, yet it warmed something inside Daniel that had long been frozen. They began stopping by the bakery every Friday after that. Sarah would always greet them with the same warm energy, sometimes slipping in an extra cookie just for Emily. Over time, small conversations turned into longer talks. Daniel learned that Sarah had lost her fiancé years ago and had been running the bakery alone ever since. Two people, both carrying grief, unknowingly started to heal each other. One evening, rain poured outside again as Daniel and Emily sat in the bakery, sharing a slice of chocolate cake. Emily looked at Sarah, then at her dad. "Miss Sarah," she said innocently, "do you have kids?" Sarah hesitated, her smile faltering slightly. "No, sweetheart, I don't." Emily tilted her head. "Oh, you can share my daddy if you want. He's really nice. Daniel froze. Sarah's eyes widened, then softened. That's very sweet of you, Emily. They laughed it off, but something in Daniel's heart shifted. For the first time since Grace's death, he allowed himself to wonder, could there be room in his life for love again? That night, after putting Emily to bed, Daniel sat on the couch and stared at the photo of Grace. You'd probably laugh at me, he whispered, but she reminds me of you, not because she's the same, but because she's kind, the way you were. He didn't know if anyone could ever fill that space, but he knew one thing, Emily needed happiness again, and maybe he did too. Over the next few months, their visits to the bakery became a cherished routine. Sarah started coming to the park with them, helping Emily feed the ducks or teaching her how to bake muffins on weekends. Slowly, laughter returned to their lives, the kind of laughter that fills empty rooms and makes pain seem bearable. But one night, Emily's teacher called. "Mr. Miller," she said, her voice gentle. "Emily's been drawing something new lately. A picture of a man, a woman, and a little girl, and she labeled them as Mommy, Daddy, and me." Daniel felt a mix of emotions, surprise, guilt, and fear. That night, as he tucked Emily into bed, she looked up and whispered, "Daddy, can Miss Sarah come over tomorrow? She makes the house feel warm." He nodded, but his chest tightened. Was he ready to open that door again? What if loving someone new meant losing again? What if Emily got attached and got hurt? The next morning, he found Emily in the living room holding Grace's picture again. She smiled sadly and said, "Mommy would like Miss Sarah. She smiles the same way." Tears welled in Daniel's eyes. He sat beside her, brushing a strand of hair from her forehead. "You think so?" he asked. Emily nodded confidently. "I know so." That evening, Daniel invited Sarah for dinner. He cooked spaghetti, Grace's old recipe, and Emily helped set the table with her tiny hands. When Sarah arrived, she brought a basket of freshly baked bread and that same radiant warmth that seemed to light up even the darkest corners of their little apartment. Dinner was filled with laughter. Emily told stories, Sarah listened with genuine care, and Daniel couldn't help but notice how easily she fit in, as if she had always been there. After dinner, Emily ran to her room to fetch something. She returned holding her drawing, the one of Mommy, Daddy, and me. She handed it to Sarah shyly. "You can be my mommy tonight," she said softly. "Just tonight, because I miss her a lot." The room fell silent. Sarah's eyes glistened. She knelt down and hugged the little girl tightly. "I'd be honored," she whispered, her voice trembling. Daniel watched the scene, his heart aching and healing at the same time. Later that night, when Emily fell asleep between them during a bedtime story, Sarah looked at Daniel. "You've raised a beautiful little girl," she said. He smiled faintly. "I've tried, but sometimes I feel like she deserves more." Sarah placed her hand gently over his. "She already has everything: love, safety, and you." In that moment, Daniel realized something he hadn't in years. Maybe love wasn't about replacing someone. Maybe it was about continuing what they left behind. Months passed. The seasons changed. Sarah became part of their world, not by force, but by quiet presence. She and Daniel didn't label anything. They just existed together in a shared rhythm of care, laughter, and understanding. Then, one evening, while tucking Emily into bed, she whispered again, "Mommy, I miss Daddy." Daniel, half asleep beside her, stirred. "You have one tonight," he murmured softly, kissing her forehead. But this time, Emily wasn't talking about her real mother. She was talking about Sarah, who was now sitting at the doorway, smiling with tears in her eyes. The little girl looked at her and said, "I miss you when you go home." Sarah crossed the room, kneeling beside the bed. "Then maybe I won't go home tonight," she said, brushing Emily's hair tenderly. Daniel watched silently, realizing how full the house felt now, not with echoes of grief, but with the sound of healing. Weeks later, Daniel finally visited Grace's grave again, the first time in years. Emily held a bouquet of daisies, Sarah beside them. "We're okay now," Daniel whispered to the gravestone. "You'll always be part of us. but thank you for sending her our way." The wind rustled softly through the trees as if Grace herself was smiling down. Emily placed the flowers gently on the grass and said, "Mommy, I have two mommies now, one in heaven, one who bakes cookies." Daniel's heart swelled with both sorrow and peace. Life hadn't given him what he wanted, but it had given him what he needed, a second chance. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us share more stories of love, loss, and the quiet miracles that bring people together again. And before you go, tell us in the comments, what does second chances mean to you? Sometimes it's not about starting over, it's about finding light again in the same broken place.